HaShem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We're back here on our Wednesday night, Stump the Rabbi. We're after some Divrei Torah. You guys will ask some questions, and BeEzrat HaShem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us the answers. Tonight's shiur is going to be for the Refuah Shlema and Hatzlacha Rabba for Rav Efraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, Sarah bat Levana, Avi Mori David ben Esriya, Imi Morati Doris bat Zora, and all of Am Yisrael and all the righteous Noahites that continue to support our organization, continue to help us with all the amazing things that Baruch Hashem we're able to do. Anyone that wants to fulfill the Mitzvot of Purim by helping us feed poor people in Israel, we have 500 scholars that are going to be learning on Purim for the merit of those people that donate. And of course, each one of them is going to get some money to help them and their family for Purim. If you want to be a part of it, you want to fulfill the mitzvah of Machatzit HaShekel, then you can do it on our campaign page that will simply be on our social media pages, on our WhatsApp groups, and on our website. Aside from that, anyone that did not take advantage of the Kiruv store recently to order some books and USBs and different things to distribute in your Jewish community, you can go there and distribute, get some stuff for free. A bunch of people ordered some books in the last 24 hours. Baruch Hashem, we sent out many boxes today. And BeEzrat Hashem, they're all going to get it within the next week or so. We even have some people from Africa, from different countries that are ordering as well. And for them, I always tell them it's a little bit of an investment because they have to pay for the shipping, and the shipping is not cheap for all these heavy boxes, but it's worth it. For anyone that's located in the U.S., we pay for shipping, we pay for the books, we pay for everything, so take advantage of it. KiruvStore.org. So, with that being said, Rabotai, we are going to talk about Purim, but also talk about Parashat Tetzaveh, and talk about the new Sefer by our own dear Rav Efraim Kachlon, that wrote a new book, and we have it available for free on our website. It's actually, the hard copy is being distributed in Israel as we speak. Thousands of copies, Baruch Hashem. And this book is simply a miracle of miracles, and it's simply showing us miracles in every single pasuk of the Megillah. Now, before Purim, we're commanded to read Parashat Zachor in order to remind us of the mitzvot of not only remembering Amalek, but also to eventually destroy Amalek. And we're commanded to do this commemoration, this reading of these verses, or what's called Parashat Zachor in the book of Deuteronomy, right before Purim. And the reason why is because Haman was Amalek, and he tried his best to destroy Am Yisrael. Now, we only survived through the mercies of Hashem and His endless miracles. And tonight, we're going to learn from this new book, Nes Lehitnoses by Rav Efraim, about some of the miracles that you didn't even know happened. After that, BeEzrat Hashem, you guys will ask some questions, and we'll answer them, BeEzrat Hashem, b'siyata d'ishmaya, to the best of our abilities, and of course, with Chesed Hashem. So Parashat Tetzaveh starts off with the Bigdei Kehuna, all of the different garments, special garments of the Kohanim. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu to take Shemen Zayit Zach, clear olive oil, that's going to illuminate the menorah. And after that, to go and make sure to find people that have Ruach Chokhmah. What is Ruach Chokhmah? It's a spirit of wisdom, Ruach HaKodesh. Why do they need Ruach HaKodesh? Because these people have to be given special wisdom from HaKadosh Baruch Hu through the merit of Moshe Rabbeinu to be able to make these special garments for the Kohen. Why can't they just sew whatever they feel like is nice, sew whatever they feel is appropriate, The Gemara says in Masechet Yoma, page 35b, that all of the garments of the Kohen were something that the nation had to pay for, not the Kohanim. And the reason why is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to make sure that everyone knows that what the Kohanim are doing in the Bet HaMikdash is for the people's benefit, not just their own. They're not in some type of religious business like people view rabbis today sometimes, where they feel like, oh, the rabbi is doing it because he's making money. Now, of course, there are some bad people out there that call themselves rabbis that only do what they do in order to make money. But if somebody is rebuking his community, helping his community do tshuva, teaching them about Yirat Shamayim, teaching them about serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it is the community's obligation to make sure that the rabbi has above and beyond what he needs. In fact, Am Yisrael was commanded to make the Kohanim rich. Why rich? Because people listen to rich people much more than they listen to poor people or people that they view are just the same as them. And these special vestments, these special garments had to be paid for by the nation. Many of them had gold in it. If it had to be made today, it would be much more expensive, since gold is at over 5,000 an ounce, the highest level it's ever been in history. But more than ever, they have to learn that these special garments require divine wisdom to such an extent that if the Kohen does a service in a Bet HaMikdash without one of the garments, he forgot one of them. He forgot the Michnasayim, he forgot the Me'il, he forgot the something, the Choshen. He forgot the tzitz on his desk and it's time to do korbanot. If he does the service, it is null and void. The service does not count. And in fact, he'll get punished for doing what he did. What's so special about these clothes? To such an extent that the Kohen is forbidden from wearing anything else other than these garments. The Kohen Gadol had to wear 8 garments. 6 of them are mentioned at the beginning of the parasha, and 2 later on in the parasha. And the reason why is because the first 2, the 2 that are missing in the beginning, are to cover his private parts, issues of modesty, the Michnasayim, and also the tzitz, which is really not it's like a crown. It's not really a garment. It's more of a sign of holiness. But nonetheless, this Kohen has to wear all 8 of them. If he's the Kohen Gadol, if he's the Kohen Idiot, the regular Kohanim, they had to wear 4. And on Yom Kippur, there was a part of the day that the Kohen Gadol will even only wear 4. And if he wore his Kohen Gadol garments at the wrong time, or the Kohen Idiot garments at the wrong time, or he just forgot one of the garments, then his service in the Bet HaMikdash is not only not a mitzvah, it's a problem. What's the big deal? After all, if you look at it, it's material made out of things that you can buy in a fabric store, things that you could buy in a jewelry store, things that are not so difficult to get. So why is it that the Kohen had to do all of this? As the Ramban writes in Parashat Nachmanides, everything is a miracle. There is no such thing as nature. Everything is a miracle by Kadosh Baruch Hu, whether it's a open miracle because what we have become accustomed to has been changed and something supernatural happened, or the hidden miracles that we don't even realize are happening. Everything is a miracle to such an extent that the Ramban writes that someone that does not believe that everything is a miracle has no share in the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu, has no share of the God of Israel. Which means that the garments of the Kohen, whether the Kohen Idiot or the Kohen Gadol, are all part of the miraculous way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. And a person that looks at them as simply fabric, fancy garments, or anything aside from what they really are, has a serious problem with the Torah. Now, one of the places that HaKadosh Baruch Hu hid his name, where you will not see the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu written plainly anywhere, but still it's part of the Tanakh, is Megillat Esther. And Megillat Esther is what our nation went through, a near annihilation that was only ended when the salvation came in what seemed like a natural way. And the Gemara in Masechet Megillah says that Megillat Esther is also in the Torah. Not just the Tanakh. You'll see hints of Megillat Esther in the Torah. Mordechai, Mordror, the section of the Torah that talks about the Ktoret, Esther, where Kadosh Baruch Hu warns Am Yisrael, Aster astir et panai, that he will hide his face if we violate his Torah. These couple of things I've mentioned in the past, and I wanted to bring you something new. Another way that you can see how the Megillah is very much part of the Torah, just like everything else that ever was or ever will be. It's inside the Torah. Not in a way where it's hard to see it, but rather, once you see it, it's like seeing the color blue for the first time. No one can ever fool you that something else is blue. If someone sees the color blue or red or any other color, and then a moment later, or even a year later, or 100 years later, they tell him, listen, this color over here that I'm showing you, that everyone calls red, is really blue. I tell you, no, you don't know what you're talking about. I know what blue looks like, even if I only saw it once. I heard this chidush from my dear son, Ovadia, Hashem bless him, and give him a lot of siyat d'ishmaya and all the good that he does in learning, him and his brother and his sister, and of course their mother. And he learned it from his Rav, one of our Rashi Kollels, Rav Bar Kochba. An extraordinary chidush. A few weeks ago we learned Parashat Beshalach. In Parashat Beshalach, at the end of the parasha, we go to war with Amalek after they attack us. And after we win the war and weaken Amalek, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, write this as a remembrance in the book and recite it in the ears of Yehoshua. He's talking about Yehoshua ben Nun, that I shall surely erase the memory of Amalek from under the heavens. Macho imche et zecher Amalek. The words macho imche, which translates in English to surely erase, have the numerical value, gematria numerical value, for each one of the letters of 107. Macho is 53, Emche is 54. And Megillat Esther when Esther tells Achashverosh, who is this enemy? Who is this hidden enemy that's trying to kill you and your nation? She says, Ze Haman. This Haman. And the numerical value for Ze Haman is also 107. Ze is 12, Haman is 95. So we see here that HaKadosh Baruch Hu already hinted us that he is going to Macho Imche. He will surely erase Ze Haman. Furthermore, this 107, as I said, is two parts. Macho is 53, Imche is 54. The 54 is also the 54 times that Haman is mentioned in the Megillah, and also the 54 letters of the 10 names of Haman's sons. All of these things show us that this is divine wisdom. It's in the Torah, not by accident, but rather HaKadosh Baruch Hu put it, everything in the Torah before it even existed. In Parashat Zachor, which is in Parashat Ki Titzeh, in Sefer Dvarim, Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25, the section that we're going to read, HaKadosh Baruch Hu commands us to remember what Amalek did to you on the way when you were leaving Egypt, that he happened upon you on the way, and he struck those of you who were hindmost, all the weaklings at your rear, when you were faint and exhausted, and he did not fear God. It shall be that when HaShem your God gives you rest from all your enemies all around, in the land that HaShem your God gives you as an inheritance to possess it, you shall wipe out the memory of Amalek from under the heaven. You shall not forget. The sages teach us that the word karcha, that he happened upon you, also gives us signs of who has the traits of Amalek. We don't know if for sure they're Amalek, but certainly they're acting like it. One, someone that's karcha also comes from kar, to cool. Someone that cools you off from the Torah. Someone that tries to steer you away from the Torah, not listening. Don't listen to this rabbi that's helping you do tshuva and become more religious. Don't keep Shabbat. Don't go to the shiur. Anyone that's a mekarer, that's a sign of Amalek. Furthermore, Rashi tells us this verse of remembering Amalek happens to be right after HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us about the importance of being ethical in business. Because someone that is meshaker b'midot u'mishkalot, someone that lies in sizes and weights, meaning he lies in business, he misleads people, he tells them to sign there as if he's helping them, but in reality he knows that they're signing away their life savings. He sells them a product that he knows will hurt them instead of help them, such as merchant cash advance or all other types of corrupt businesses. Unethical business, Rashi says, is not only a sign of Amalek, but it actually strengthens Amalek. And the third one, Rashi tells us as well, he brings it from Midrash Tanchuma, Parashat Tet, that Amalek happened upon you. He came at your rear. Why? This is because that's the way Amalek was. He was LGBTQ. So those that follow that ideology, whether they are themselves that, or they are supportive of it. They're practicing the traits of Amalek. In the Sefer Nes Lehitnoses, by our own dear Rav Efraim, the Rav brings us endless miracles. In every single pasuk in Megillat Esther. Where the Megillah itself is called Megillat Esther because our goal is to find where HaShem is hidden in it, to find His miracles. But furthermore, we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't do it for no reason. It was only after we made mistakes. By going to the mishteh, to the party of Achashverosh. The Gaon Mivilna, in his commentary on Megillat Esther, in chapter 1, second verse, he says, why did our sages tell us that we have to read the whole Megillah without missing a single verse? I mean, if you miss one word of the Megillah, you have to read the whole thing all over again. Why? Shebekol pasuk upasuk umesaper godel hanes, because every single verse tells us about the greatness of the miracle. In so many words, the Gaon Mivilna is telling us every verse in Megillat Esther, not just the obvious miracles. Every verse has a miracle in it and more. The Gaon Milisa, Rabbi Yaakov Loibebam, in his Sefer Megillat Starim, in chapter 2, section number 17, he says, it looks like all of the miracles that were made in Megillat Esther were written in a hint, not obvious. Just like the way Hashem was treating Am Yisrael at the time, He was saving them by making things happen behind the scenes, which we only realize at the end. The Sefer Nes Lehitnoses, the name itself, comes from a verse in Psalms. Psalm number 60, verse number 6, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, where David HaMelech says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Natata le'erecha nes litnoses. To those who fear you, you gave a banner, nes, to be raised high, litnoses, for the truth's sake. So while nes, the word nes means miracle, it also means banner. And David HaMelech is telling HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you gave those who fear you, those who are at Mount Sinai, a banner to be raised high. What is this banner raised high? When you lifted the mountain in the air over their heads, as the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat says, and told them, if you accept my Torah, this is the sign, this is our wedding. If not, I'm going to drop the mountain on you, and this will be your burial ground. But we see here that David HaMelech is telling us everything that a Jew must know on his day-to-day life. If you want a nes, if you want miracles, you have the instructions here. Those who fear Hashem get the nes. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him a banner. What's the banner? Is Torah, is Mitzvot. And you have to hold it high. For truth's sake, just like the verse said. Meaning, fight for the truth. Even though the truth may be inconvenient. The truth may be unpopular in your circle. But of course, a person has to use wisdom and not just argue with people and prove them that they're wrong, but rather try to help them. Try to help them by providing them information. Don't try to prove them wrong. Try to help people. Feel bad for them, not angry. In the first verse, we see a verse that seems like has nothing to do with a miracle. The Megillah says, "Vayi bimei Achashverosh hu Achashverosh, Amalek miOdu ve'ad Kush." In the days of Achashverosh, he is Achashverosh, who was in control of everything from Hodu, India, until Kush, until Africa. 127 nations. What's miraculous about this? First, Rabbeinu Alshich, in his commentary in Megillah Esther, he says, why does it say Achashverosh or Achashverosh? We know it's Achashverosh. Why mention his name twice? He says, because some people that are reading it many years after this whole thing happened are going to read about the story. And they're going to, if they don't read the commentary by the sages, and they just read it like a storybook, like the Goyim read the Torah, they read it like a storybook, that's why they don't understand anything, then if you read any part of the Torah, whether it's written Torah or oral Torah, without commentary and explanations by the sages, you're going to arrive at the wrong conclusions, by default. Even something as simple as this. Everyone knows a story already at 5-6 years old. Every Jewish kid knows a story of Purim. But what's the story? Oh, we had Mordechai, Esther, Achashverosh, Haman, Vashti. Vashti gets killed. Haman rises to power. He's the bad guy, tries to kill the Jews. Hashem makes a miracle because Esther became the queen. In so many words, because Esther, our sister, was in the government, she was part of the White House, then we got the miracle. The Alshich says this, you're already wrong within the first few words of the Megillah. The Megillah specifically says in the days of Achashverosh, hu Achashverosh. Meaning, don't think for a moment that the miracle that we got was because Haman was the only bad guy and we got saved because of our sister that was in the government. No. Hu Achashverosh. Achashverosh was no less anti-Semitic than Haman. In fact, Achashverosh killed his own wife. So if you were to say, listen, our sister Esther, she's going to save us, don't forget, he killed his last wife. He killed his last wife. In order to teach us that the miracles are from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and a Kadosh Baruch Hu uses different things that become vessels for him to bring his salvation. And when it says, Ua Molech, he is a king of 127 nations, it's also to teach you that he made himself king because he found a great treasure. Before that, he was just one of the people that would clean the horses. He would clean the horses of Nebuchadnezzar, the father or grandfather of Vashti. But Achashverosh did not come from a royal family. But that's the reason why he married Vashti. He wanted some royalty in his family. But because he came from nothing, Vashti was able to insult him when he commanded her to come out. She says, who are you to talk to me like that? You're the guy that cleaned my father's horse. And of course, he insulted her, she insulted him. Before you know it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a miracle and kills her. But more than that, The fact that he controlled 127 countries is also to tell us that before this, the Alshich writes, and he brings the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer in chapter 11, that before this, Achashverosh actually controlled 240 nations. And after he stopped the rebuilding of the Bet HaMikdash, when his evil advisors told him to stop building the Bet HaMikdash, Hashem punished them, and the people went against him, and he lost 113 out of the 240 nations that he had. Hence the reason why he had 127. The nations in Africa were under his control, and he lost it. To show us that the reason why this decree came upon Achashverosh was because he stopped the building of the Bet HaMikdash. In fact, it's also to teach us that it was only the chesed of Hashem that did not build the Bet HaMikdash right after it was destroyed. After the first Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, we had to wait 70 years before Hashem allowed us to build the second Bet HaMikdash. This seems like an extraordinary hardship. Many people say we've been waiting for 2,000 years for Hashem to bring the Mashiach and let us build a third Bet HaMikdash. Not realizing that if Hashem didn't build it, it's only because it's good for us for it not to be here yet. Why was it not good for it not to be there during those 70 years when Achashverosh stopped it from being built? Because after Achashverosh married Vashti, he decided to have this huge event for 6 months. And during those 6 months, he invited and commanded everybody to come to this party. And the Jewish people did not listen to Mordechai, and they went to the party, and they drank, and they made sins. And because of that, they got the decree for Haman to kill them. And the Chachamim teach us that had the Bet HaMikdash been around during this mishteh, during this party, Hashem would have destroyed it. Meaning, the fact that he delayed it, those 70 years, was to our benefit. No different than the fact that he's delayed it for the last 2,000 years. Furthermore, the Malbim brings that the entire time that we had the first Bet HaMikdash, Am Yisrael was sure that we were protected from all enemies and any punishment because of the Bet HaMikdash. We're bringing korbanot every day. Once it was destroyed, everyone said, okay, your protection is gone. In fact, they said that Hashem doesn't want you anymore. Hashem is not going to make miracles for anymore. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu made these miracles intentionally before the building of the second Bet HaMikdash, to address all of the people that were naysayers then and all of the people that will be naysayers during the last 2,000 years of exile, that say that after Hashem destroyed the second Bet HaMikdash, then the covenant is broken. This new one with the Christianity, the man God. You're not protected anymore. There's no miracles anymore. No. Look, Hashem not only showed us that He's with us and protected us from Achashverosh, protected us from Haman, but He made endless miracles for us, before, during, and after. Another example of a miracle in the second verse, where it seems like, again, a verse that doesn't talk about any miracles. בימים ההם, כשבט המלך אחשוורוש על כיסא מלכותו אשר בשושן הבירה. In those days when Achashverosh was sitting on his throne in Shushan, the capital. What's so miraculous about this verse? The Gaon of Vilna says, look at the greatness of Hashem and how much kindness He has, that He has Achashverosh decide to make his capital, his palace, rebuilt in this tiny little city called Shushan. Shushan wasn't a great city beforehand. Shushan was part of a greater state called Elam, which the Gemara says out of the 10 levels of immorality, 9 of them were brought to Elam. So why would Achashverosh make this arrogant place that nobody even cares about his capital? The Gaon of Vilna says, you know why? Because Mordechai lived in Shushan. Mordechai was one of the vessels that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will use to bring the salvation. So the second verse is telling us, you know why? Achashverosh decided to go to Shushan because he wanted a throne like Shlomo HaMelech. But no one was able to build it where he was living. And the experts lived in Shushan. So he tasked them, said, listen, build me a throne like Shlomo HaMelech, a replica. They built it and said, we're sorry, Your Highness, but there's no way to move this thing. It's too big. Achashverosh says, if the throne is there, I'll build a palace around the throne. He literally moved his entire palace and built a new palace around the throne. Why be so stupid? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu will use that stupidity in order to bring the salvation. In the third verse, again, another verse that does not seem like there's any miracle in it. Bishnat shalosh lemalcho asa mishteh lekol sarav. In his third year of his kingdom, he made a mishteh, he made a celebration. And the Even Ezra writes that he made this mishteh, as I said before, because he just married Vashti. And he was celebrating it that now he has royal lineage in his family. And not just horse cleaners. So why is this miraculous? Because, says the Even Ezra, the Gemara in Masechet Megillah, in page 12, tells us that Vashti hated Jews. Nebuchadnezzar enslaved them, destroyed the Bet HaMikdash. So she was anti-Semitic from within her blood. And what she did was take all of the Jewish girls and make them her slaves, and make them her slaves and servants in the castle every single day in a most awful, embarrassing way, by having them serve her naked while they were naked. She would do everything possible to embarrass the beautiful Bnot Israel. They were modest and did not want to be. Not servants and not want to be immodest. But the good miracle here is that Achashverosh did not marry her right away when he first became king. It was 3 years before he married her, which means that during those 3 years, the daughters of Israel were not harmed by anybody. They were only harmed during those 180 days of this party after Vashti married Achashverosh. So the suffering of Bnot Israel was shortened. And furthermore, it says that Achashverosh had this mishteh, and he was with all of his ministers and his servants. And they were sitting lefanav, meaning together with him. Why is the fact that his ministers are sitting together with him a miracle? Because after his ministers and servants, low and high positions, saw Achashverosh, their king, eating and drinking and making a fool of himself right next to them, day after day, for months, they lost respect for him. And this would help Am Yisrael, because when Achashverosh commanded everyone to listen to Haman and go kill the Jews, they didn't run to do it. They said, you know what? Maybe it's not necessary now. Maybe we can wait. Before you know it, it's delayed a year. Why? They don't have to listen to Achashverosh. He's just like us. He's one of our friends. And that's also the reason why they asked Achashverosh, since they became friends with him, they're drinking and acting like a fool, just like him, every day for months. And eventually they were able to show their real colors, because, like I said, these are all people from Elam. These are a place of immorality. It was the Sodom of its day. So they said, listen, Your Highness, the way we show our honor in Elam is we show our wives naked. Why don't you show us the queen that you just married naked? That's the custom. Who would ever ask a president or a king or even a CEO of a company to do such a thing? But they lost respect for Achashverosh because he was sitting right in front of them, drooling the food, dirtying himself, spilling stuff. So they felt comfortable. The fact that they were able to ask him for this helped HaKadosh Baruch Hu bring the salvation, because through this request, he can now remove Vashti from the world in a natural way and bring another part of the salvation, which is Esther, into the picture. In the Tana Devei Eliyahu Navi teaches that anyone that has gasut roach, arrogance, is uprooted from the world. And the Gemara says someone that's an arrogant person can get to a level that even his own family hates him. And I can tell you, I know some people like that. That literally their arrogance has destroyed their family life to the point where even their wife and kids hates them. But they're too arrogant to change. But Eliyahu Navi says it doesn't only destroy a person's life, it uproots him from the world. And in fact, since Achashverosh moved to this place of arrogance, that was another reason, another strike against him to uproot him from the world. And even though he did not die at the end of the story, Ishto kegufo, his wife is like him, and therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu used that as another reason to uproot Vashti from the world. Another thing that Achashverosh did during this time, it says in the fourth verse, same verse that we've been talking about, that he wanted to show all of his treasures and his greatness. And one of the things that he wanted to show is that he has the Klei Bet HaMikdash, all of the different things that were in the Bet HaMikdash, the menorah, the clothing of the garments of the Kohen Gadol that we read about in this week's parasha. And this was also a miracle. Why was this a miracle? Because this made the Jewish people that came to the party against the word of Mordechai. He told them, don't go to the party. And he said, no, but come on, Rabbi. They have kosher wine over there. They're catering to us. They have kosher steaks. They have the best kashrut. We're only going there to honor the king. We're not going there to make friends. But the reality is that once they went there, they were given wine much more than anybody could handle. Every person was given wine bigger than him and commanded to drink, and they all became drunk and they all started sinning. So how did this stop? When Achashverosh brought out all of the vessels of the Bet HaMikdash, the Jews got offended and they started leaving. And when Achashverosh found out, he said, okay, fine. Make them a party in a separate part of the palace. Meaning, stay here, don't leave. But just, the palace is big. They don't have to be next to me when I'm playing with the menorah. This was a kindness from Hashem. Why? Once they separated from them, it minimized the sins. It minimized the unity between Yaakov and Esav. It minimized the problem and the damage. In verse number 5, it says that this Achashverosh had all the ministers and the servants there, migadol at katan, the big ones and the small ones. Why don't you say all the ministers? Why does it have to mention the big and the small one? The Malbim says, in order to teach us another miracle, that because he sat the important ministers right next to the regular servant that cleans the bathroom, the ministers of Achashverosh started hating him and didn't want to listen to him anymore and looked for excuses to go against him. Later on, a few of them tried to kill him. This will help bring the salvation to Am Yisrael. Even the fact that there was a lot of wine, where in verse number 7 it says that there was the Yain Malchut Rav, there was a lot of wine. Who was this wine given to? To everyone, including the Jewish people. Even that was a miracle. But didn't you just say that they sinned? Yes. But that was the kindness of Hashem, that they only sinned after they drank a lot of wine and lost control. Because had Achashverosh brought all of the immorality, all of the goyot that were promiscuous to the Jewish quarters before they got drunk, they would have sinned anyway. And the decree would have been much harsher, because they would have sinned knowingly. But once they drank so much and lost control, it doesn't make the sin right, it doesn't make the sin allowed, but it's a lesser sin. And that was also, again, one of the miracles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought that's hidden behind the scenes. In verse number 11, it says that he commanded to bring Vashti Amalka. Lifnei HaMelech beketer malchut, to bring Vashti the queen with the crown, meaning only wear a crown to show everyone what she looks like with just the crown on and no clothes. Shem Elchim. The truth is, Vashti wanted to go. The plan from the beginning was for her to do this. It wasn't a chidush. She wanted to do this. But the Gemara in Masechet Megillah, page 12, says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent the Malach Gavriel to make Vashti turn from being one of the most beautiful women in the world to one of the most hideous, where in a moment she became full of tzarat all over her body and with a long tail. Now this in itself was miraculous because the king commanded her to come without clothes on. Had he commanded her to come with her gown that she wore for the wedding, she could have hid the tail, she could have hid the tzarat. But no, because she insulted and embarrassed and shamed the Jewish women, that's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought her downfall. As the Mishnah in Masechet Avot says, someone that desecrates Hashem's name in silence will be punished in public. And in fact, one of the amazing ways that HaKadosh Baruch Hu rules the world is shown here. Because Vashti shamed the Jewish girls because she felt more beautiful than everyone, because she was more beautiful than everyone. And in essence, her beauty was her everything. That's what she was proud of. That's what made her her. And that's what made her so evil. And that's what brought her demise. Because she was so beautiful, Achashverosh wanted to show it to everybody. And actually commanded her to come. Meaning that her beauty that caused her to sin is the same beauty that HaKadosh Baruch Hu used to destroy her. Now, really, we find out later on that Achashverosh didn't really want to kill her. Even after she disobeyed him. He just married her. She was his connection to the royal family. But he couldn't hide this. Why couldn't he hide it? Because it says in verse number 17 that Ki yetzeh dvar hamalka al kol hanashim, that the word of what the queen did will be known by everyone. Why would everyone know about it? Why can't you just keep silent? No, don't you remember? It wasn't just Achashverosh that had the mishteh, that had the party. Vashti also decided to have a party. Meaning that there was noise and chaos coming from both sides of the palace. So when he said she's commanded, everyone knew. And when she said, I'm not coming, everyone knew. There was no way to hide it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made Vashti have a party. Why? Because that's another way that he will use to bring her demise, to bring the salvation to Am Yisrael. Because now you cannot hide it. And the significance of that is that if they were able to hide it, then Achashverosh could have dealt with it just like a man and his wife. Oh, honey, why didn't you listen to me? You should have listened. You embarrassed me, but you're lucky because there was only 2 people there. No, everyone knew. Tens of thousands of people there. Everyone knew she didn't listen to him. He couldn't hide it. In fact, in verse number 12, it says, "V'tema'ena malka Vashti b'dvar hamelech." That Vashti refused to come to listen to come to Achashverosh. And the Al-Shich HaKadosh says, why couldn't she just simply say, I can't, I don't feel well? Because Achashverosh commanded her to come. And after he commanded her to come, and sent the lowest ministers of his to her, rather than send his ministers to her ministers and have her ministers bring her in honor, he commanded her as if she's a servant. So when she refused and also insulted him that he's just a horse cleaner, it was because he insulted her and she insulted him back. And in fact, the Al-Sheikh says that as soon as he sent the command, he regretted. Why did I just command her? I could have just asked her to come. She wanted to come anyway. We spoke about it yesterday. And he knew that he brought shame to her, but she could not hold her mouth, and she shamed him back. And that brought, again, another miracle, another way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought the salvation. In verse number 13, says, Vayomer HaMelech HaChachamim Yodei HaEitim, that the king Achashverosh spoke to the wise men that knew the times. And the Gemara in Masechet Megillah says, who are these wise men that know the times? These are the Jewish sages that knew how to the renewal of the moon, the mathematics of the renewal of the moon that took NASA and the rest of the scientific world thousands of years to catch up to. They were there. And he told them, listen, what should I do with this queen? Why did he go to them? Because he knew that the Jewish people judge with mercy. So maybe they'll judge that he doesn't have to kill Vashti. But the Jewish sages weren't just smart in Torah. They were smart in everything. And they knew that if they tell him to kill her, tomorrow when he's not drunk, he's going to blame them and kill them. If they tell him to leave her, it's like they're treating the queen as if she's not really queen. And they'll kill them. So what do? They told Achashverosh, oh, we're sorry, since the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, there's no more Sanhedrin. So we're not allowed to rule according to when life is on the line. So he went to the Chachamim, but then he had to go to his wise people. Who are his wise people? The same wise people that told him and convinced him to stop building the Bet HaMikdash. Among them was Haman. And as we all know, the next day when he woke up, he was looking for Vashti, and then he realized he killed her, and he regretted it. Why did I kill Vashti? The Chachamim teach us in the Gemara in Masechet Yevamot, page 79, that he didn't want to kill her, and after he killed her, he got angry at the ministers that told him to kill her. Meaning he would have killed the Jewish sages had they told him to kill her. But since they did it, it saved their life. And who did he kill? The ministers of his that told him to kill her, except Haman. Why did Hashem do this to those people? Because they're the same ones that told Achashverosh to stop building the Bet HaMikdash, stop allowing the Bet HaMikdash to be rebuilt. So the judgment from heaven on them was brought then. And the greatest judgment was brought on Haman, but that will take more time to build up. Here we see, Rabotai, miracle after miracle in every verse. I'm just giving you some examples. The last one is just simply, again, showing you another verse that looks like it has nothing to do with miracles. But verse number 15 says, Achashverosh judged Vashti, but he wanted to judge her according to the dat, according to the law of the land, the religion, if you will, of the idolaters. Because she didn't listen to him. In the Midrash Rabbah, in Parashat Dalet, Siman Hey, Rabbi Yitzchak says, this pig, Vashti, he judged her according to a religion, according to the laws of the land, but the holy people, the Jewish people, he didn't judge them according to the laws of the land. He judged them with no mercy. When Haman came and he wanted to kill Am Yisrael, he didn't judge, are they guilty, are they not guilty, did they do something, did all of them do it, did some of them do it, is that really the law of the land? This too was miraculous. This lack of mercy was miraculous. Why? Because his lack of mercy on Am Yisrael was hypocritical. And therefore, it's in the world of lies. And a lie has nothing to stand on. It does not survive. These are just some of the examples that are literally miracles in every verse, and we just covered maybe 10 or 15 verses. Imagine how many more are in this book, and even more exist. In fact, there is another book that Rav Efraim found out about after he completed this book that somebody else wrote with a similar things in it. Not the same miracles. He found different miracles on every verse of Megillah Esther. Why is it important for us to know about all these miracles? To such a point that the sages decreed that Am Yisrael has to read the Megillah every single year. Because if a person only believes in Hashem after seeing big miracles, then he will eventually abandon Hashem. Why? Because big miracles are not something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, open miracles I should say, are not something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does on a regular basis. In fact, if you only follow Hashem because of the big miracles, then you're not really following Hashem. Because if you understood the greatness of Hashem, you would know that everything is a miracle. And when a person understands that everything is a miracle, it helps them build emunah in Hashem. It helps them build bitachon in Hashem. It helps them have yirat shamayim. It helps them love Hashem. It helps them in every part of the connection to Hashem. Why? Because now they're not just looking for the splitting of the ocean into 12 tunnels, one for every tribe, for them to believe in Hashem 100% and follow Him. Now they know that everything that happens in their life, there's a miracle in it. Whether it's the fact that they were able to make it from their house to their job in time, or they even have a job, or they were able to eat and digest, or they were able to find somebody to marry and have kids with, or anything in between. The fact that you are able to be a giver and not someone that has to be a taker because they don't have. A person that is truly connected to Hashem sees miracles every single day because they're everywhere. A person that's not connected to Hashem is only going to remember that Hashem even exists when there's an open miracle. But by then, you've missed the whole point. You've missed the whole connection. Megillat Esther, Rabotai, tells us that Amalek tried to destroy us. The same Amalek that were commanded to destroy and to remember to destroy him. The only reason why Hashem brought us this salvation is because of the merit that Am Yisrael has following the Torah throughout all of history. Where even when we failed, it was only temporarily. It wasn't everybody. And we had the mitzvah of doing tshuva. We still had a connection to Hashem. When a person is looking for Hashem to be something that's equivalent to them, that he thinks like them, that does things, for the same reasons, then they're not really connected to Hashem. They're connected to the wrong address. They're connected to a false God. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving each and every single one of us an opportunity to do tshuva before the next big salvation comes, before the next series of hidden and open miracles happen. Those of us that make the right decisions today will live a life full of miracles that only grow from here, from hidden to open. Those that waste their time trying to convince Amalek to like us, say never again and put the stickers everywhere, never again, let's have Tucker Carlson and all the other anti-Semites on TV like us again, thinking that that's going to bring us salvation, thinking that some foreign president is going to bring us salvation, thinking that some Jewish politician being friends with the nations will bring us salvation. You missed the whole point. Our salvation did not come because of Esther. Our salvation did not come because of Mordechai. Our salvation certainly did not come because of Achashverosh. Our salvation came because HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a Torah. And that Torah gives us rules. Those that follow the rules get blessed. Those that don't get punishment. Now, what happens when we fail to follow the rules, like we did at this party? Hashem gives us an opportunity to do tshuva. And when we do tshuva, he shows us that throughout the whole time, we were looking at the clock of destruction coming. He was making miracles, preparing the salvation, preparing the miracle that will get us out of the situation that we're afraid of. Meaning that behind the scenes, he was already aware and ready for the salvation that he already has prepared for his kids. Believing in HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not something that should be hard for anybody. It's something that you should get to a point of realizing you need it. Because without it, what distinguishes you from just a grain of sand? Can't compare you to an animal, because even an animal knows its creator. As the Torah says, even a donkey knows its owner. So BeEzrat Hashem, we'll use this Megillah as another reminder of the endless miracles that happened to us back then and the endless miracles that are happening to us right now. And if you're not seeing them, that's simply because you're not paying attention. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there and he's already preparing the salvation, both for our nation as well as for each and every single one of us individually. We just simply need to follow the rules. Now I'm going to answer the question that we asked in the last shiur, where some of you sent me the answers, interesting answers. The question was, there was two guys, friends, and they went to a jewelry store in Reuven, wanted to buy a nice piece of jewelry for his wife, and he forgot his wallet at home. So he asked Shimon to borrow his credit card and he'll pay him. Shimon said, no problem, here's the credit card. And he used the credit card to buy $1,000 worth of jewelry. A few days later, Shimon runs into Reuven again. He says, hey, Reuven, can you give me the $1,000 that I lent you the other day? And Reuven says, oh, you didn't hear? There was a major crisis. The internet fell down. And it was reported in the papers that that credit card company, that bank, lost all of the transactions that happened on that day, meaning that they're not going to charge you for the $1,000. So since they're not going to charge you for the $1,000, why should I pay you $1,000? You don't have to pay. And they went to a bet din, because Shimon said whether I have to pay it or not is irrelevant. You still borrowed, and you still bought the diamonds. Reuven said, yeah, but you didn't pay anything for it. So what's the law? Some of you said that it's right, he shouldn't pay. Didn't really cost Shimon anything. Others said he should pay him part of it. But those of you that said that he has to pay it were right. And the reason is because Reuven benefited from the card. The fact that Shimon had the card, that was the benefit. Regardless of what happened a second later, with the bank, with the financials, it's irrelevant. Any benefit does not belong to him. Why? It's Shimon's card. Just because he used the card, he doesn't acquire ownership in it. And therefore, since he benefited from the card, $1,000, he has to pay back $1,000, regardless of the fact of whether Shimon has to pay that back to the bank or not. That was the question back then. We'll ask another question. It's probably something that's happened to at least a few of you. One woman gets a beautiful set of earrings from her husband as a gift. $1,000 earrings. Of course, what do you do when you have $1,000 earrings? You show off. So she goes to our best girlfriend and she says, "Hey, look, Sarah, I got these earrings." And Sarah says, "Wow, they're so beautiful. Are they real?" "Yeah, of course they're real," Rivka says to her. "Of course they're real. $1,000. Wow, amazing. Listen, I have a wedding tonight. Family, do you think it's okay if I borrow them from you?" Now, girls are not like guys. Girls lend each other everything. It's strange, but that's how girls are. And Rivka says, "Yeah, you know what? Sure, you can wear them." So Sarah is happy. She borrows the earrings. She goes to our party. The next day, Rivka comes over. "Hey, how was the party?" "Oh, it was great. It was wonderful." "Oh, great. Did anybody notice the earrings?" "Yeah, everybody noticed them. It was beautiful." "All right, great. Can I have them?" "Listen, I have bad news." "Wow, what happened?" "I don't know what happened, but somehow I lost one of them." "What do you mean?" I lost one of them. I lost one of the earrings. Here, I only have one." "Okay, listen, it happens." I know it happens. But I'll pay you. All right, well, let me see. Obviously I can't just wear one earring. Let me go see if the jeweler has another one, and you could pay for it. She goes back to the jeweler, and he told him, "Listen, I lost one of the earrings. Can you give me another one?" He says, "Sorry, man, these were one of a kind. We don't have anymore." "Oh, you don't?" "All right, so maybe I'll just give him back to you, and you give me $500 credit towards something else." He says, "Sorry, man, I can't give you $500. She goes, "What do you mean? But I bought them for $1,000. He goes, "Yeah, $1,000 for the pair. I can't do anything with one earring either. I'd have to just simply melt the gold and use the diamond for something else. I'm willing to pay you $300 for them." "Okay, whatever. Give me something." So he gives her $300. She goes back to Sarah. She goes, "Listen, Sarah, it's not going to be $500. It's going to be $700. "What do you mean? You have two earrings. One earring's $500. The other one's $500. He says, "Yeah, logically that makes sense. I thought that too. But the guy wasn't willing to give me $500. He only gave me $300. She goes, "Well, it's not my problem. Maybe you're a bad negotiator. I lost one earring. That's half. I'm going to have to give you half. All right, let's go to the Bet Din. You guys are the Bet Din. How much does Sarah owe Rivka for losing her earring? Does she owe her $500? Does she owe her $700? Does she owe her something in between? Or maybe she doesn't owe her anything at all. I mean, after all, accidents happen. Or maybe, just maybe, Rivka owes Sarah money for the embarrassment that she's even asking her for this money and she lost it. Or something else you guys come up with. That's the judgment. BeEzrat HaShem, next week, I'll give you guys the answer, but in the meantime, anyone that has the answer, send it over to me, and we'll see what you guys say.
I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend. We did it. AI Rabbi is here. It's an AI model that is based on kosher Torah sources, 30 different languages that are available to you, so if you want to ask it in Spanish, in Chinese, Portuguese, whatever you want to do, it's available for you. Can you tell me about Rabbi Akiva? So it's time-stamped to the shiur. You press this green button, AI Rabbi on your WhatsApp. You'll have the ability to ask questions at will, you'll be provided sources, and most importantly, you'll be able to know the truth and be able to rely on the sources.
Now you guys can start asking some questions, and BeEzrat HaShem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us the answers. Let's see. Greetings from Minnesota, Indiana. Very nice. Indianapolis, nice. Is work allowed on Purim? Still hearing the Megillah and doing all the Purim Mitzvot. Not a full day of work. It's allowed but not appropriate. Because Purim is a time that you're supposed to not only hear the Megillah, you're supposed to have a day of celebration, you're supposed to have mishteh, give out shlach manot. If a person, will get fired if he doesn't work, then that's something else. But generally speaking, it's not a day to work. But if there's no other way out of it, then, there's no way out of it. Just make sure you fulfill the mitzvot. My friend Justin wants to convert. Can he? Sure. If he wants to convert, he can convert. He has to, number one, learn what it means to be a Jew. And two, he has to move to a Jewish community and connect to one of the local rabbis that will guide him, and eventually, when the rabbi feels he's ready, we'll bring him to the Bet Din, to the Jewish court, to convert. It's a process. It's not 1, 2, 3. It's not like the false religions that allow you to convert in 2 minutes. It's a whole process. It takes time. What is the name of Hashem? And why is his name Hashem? Now, the word Hashem doesn't mean the name of God. It literally means the name. Why do we say the name instead of the name itself? Because as HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us himself, as Hashem tells us himself many times in the Torah, including the 10 Commandments, we're not allowed to say his name in vain. In fact, the real name of Hashem we're not allowed to say at all. And therefore, his name is so holy, we don't say his name, we say the name, as if honoring the name. It's like as if you would not call a king of flesh and blood by his first name. Just like you wouldn't call, let's say you go to the president of America. You're not going to call hey, Donnie, come over here. You're going to say, what are you going to say? You're going to say, Mr. President. But that's not his name. Yes, it's not his name, but you have to give him honor. If you have to give honor to a leader that's flesh and blood, needless to say, you have to give honor to the King of Kings. What is the best way to get a guarantee that my blood test tomorrow will have only good results? Guarantee, that's not something that you can do in one shot, but if a person wants to get good health, get good blessings, get good things, the most important thing that a person that can do to help themselves bring blessings to their life is to support Kiruv with Mesirut Nefesh, meaning to support, whether it's by donating a lot of money relative to them, or distributing books, or helping people do tshuva in different ways. Supporting Kiruv is the one thing that sages teach us brings blessings, protection, more than anything else in this world and the next. So if a person wants to bring a lot of those blessings to their life, that's what they would do. And in fact, every year when we have our High Holidays campaign, we have the special prayer as part of the campaign, where there's some people that are able and willing to donate much larger amounts. And every year, we show how those people that did it, that donated the larger amounts, got, miracles that were beyond any comprehension, whether it's, making millions of dollars, or it's cures for cancer, or having kids when they haven't even had a chance of having one for 10 years of marriage, and so on and so forth. So people that support Kiruv with Mesilut Nefesh get miracles. Can you call Hashem Abba in personal davening? Yeah. Why not? If a Jewish person renting a commercial space decides not to pay rent because it's COVID-19 and leaves after 3 months of not paying, is he still obligated to pay rent? If that was the agreement, yes. The AI Rabbi is awesome. Thanks so much. Baruch Hashem. But Baruch Hashem. Anyone that hasn't subscribed to the AI Rabbi yet, you're missing out. Actually, there was a major upgrade that was released in the last 24 hours. Features, the UI, different things that were released. So the AI Rabbi is highly advisable for anyone that wants to get answers from the Torah regarding any aspect of their life with reliable sources. What do you think about the Assyrians? I don't think about them. What's a goy? The literal meaning of goy is nation. So sometimes the Torah says the nations, meaning the nations, and sometimes it says the goy kadosh, the holy nation, which is referring to Israel, the Jewish people. So the word goy is applicable to everyone, but when it's referring to goy kadosh, it's referring to the Jewish people. My friend asked, what does the Jewish court ask when you're converting? Well, in order for somebody to go to the Bedin, the Jewish court, they have to have a rabbi that's sponsoring them. And that rabbi, once they feel that the person is ready for conversion, then he talks to one of the dayanim, to one of the judges of the court about this person, tells them about them, tells them their story, tells them where they are as far as knowledge and so on, and that they're confident that this person is really looking to convert. And once they go to the Bedin, if they're a male, the first time they have to go and they have to do a circumcision, brit milah if they're a male. If they're a female, then obviously there's no circumcision. And But then after that, as far as the questions that the court asks them are different basic questions of Judaism, nothing too complicated, just to make sure that the person understands what it means to be Jewish, that they're only allowed to believe in the God of Israel and nothing else. They don't believe in the New Testament. They don't believe in other false gods. They're going to observe the laws. They know the laws. They ask them some basic questions about the laws of Shabbat, the laws of holidays, the laws of Kashrut, different basic things. We have on our website a conversion guide, an interactive conversion guide that you can download for free. You go to our website, BeEzratHashem.org. In there on the top, on the left, there is a tab called Free Books and PDFs. So over there, when you search under the word conversion, you'll find a PDF, and you can download that for free. It's an interactive PDF where every page you click anywhere and it'll open up either a lecture that we've done about a specific topic regarding conversion, or a book that we recommend, or a book that you can read for free, whatever it is. It's all in that interactive guide, as well as all of the major things that you need to know for conversion, meaning all of the things that you would need to know for the Bedin that are there. And it's based off of our experience of bringing people to the Bedin to convert them in the past. So these are legitimate resources, not just stuff that we prefer or we're pushing. This is what the Bedin is looking for. The word that says Adonai is referring. It's another way of saying my master. So we use that word to pray to Hashem, to connect to Hashem, but it's not. It's not Hashem's name. Adon means master. Nai is my. Rabbi said in one of your previous videos that Jews build the pyramids, but the pyramids were made with stones and the Jews used bricks. Okay. Stop watching the History Channel and try to learn religion from them. That's what I would suggest. That's the answer. Why did Shlomo HaMelech sacrifice to idols? He never sacrificed to the idols. When the verse says that it was considered as if he sacrificed to the idols, it's referring to the fact that some of the women that he married, even though he converted all of them to Judaism, they all converted to Judaism, after he married them, some of them, specifically Malkat Shva, the queen of Egypt, she went back to her evil ways and started worshiping idols again, and Shlomo HaMelech did not rebuke her. So because he did not rebuke her, it was as if he was in agreement with it, or partner of the sin. But he never worshipped an idol or sacrificed to the idols. It's just showing us the importance of rebuke when you see somebody somebody sinning. Can you talk about Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad? Yes. Hear, Israel, Hashem is, this is one of the statements from Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu was, the first time that this was being said, was when Yaakov Avinu was asking his sons if they were worshiping idols. And the sons replied, "Hear, O Israel," meaning Israel was another name for Yaakov, for Jacob. Hashem is our God, Hashem is one. We believe only in God, we believe only in one. But this was it's one of the verses in the Torah. It's one of the ways that we accept the kingdom of Hashem. And that's another thing that Jacob said when he first saw his son Yosef for the first time in 2 decades. And it's a obligation for every Jew to say the Shema Yisrael, to say this verse once in the morning and once at night. Rabbi, what do you think about the Muslims? If you're referring to the ones that want to kill us, I don't think too highly of them. If you're talking about people that are nice, then sure, nice people. Thank you for being nice. I'm not really sure what kind of answer you're asking for. I don't really think about all of these things as far as thinking about other people. Rabbi, can you tell me the definition of idol worship? Would you say people worship countries or money? Absolutely. Being afraid of anything but God is a form of idol worship. Giving your heart to anything but God could be a form of idol worship. Believing that anything has power over you other than God is a form of idol worship. Praying to anything but God is a form of idol worship. There's different types of idol worship. So if somebody is spending all of their time chasing money to the point where they don't have time to pray, or even when they pray, they don't really think about prayers, they're thinking about money again, then that means that they are serving money. It's a form of idol worship. If somebody is praising sports stars, soccer players, football players, to the point where they know everything there is to know about these players, they watch all of their games, but yet when it comes to Torah, when it comes to serving God, they don't have time or interest, then that's because they are worshiping an idol. Who's the idol? The soccer player or the football player or whatever, or the sport, whatever it is. So idolatry comes in many forms and sizes. In so many words, in the same verse that the person asked me about, the Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. That means that you are accepting the kingdom of Hashem. And after that, the verse says, Ve'afta et Hashem, and you love Hashem, B'kol levavcha, b'kol nafshecha, b'kol meodecha, with all of your heart, with all of your life, with all of your resources. Meaning that a person has to understand that by accepting Hashem's kingdom, that means that we are fully committing everything to Him. Everything to Him, and we're connecting everything to Him. So even though we have to work, we have to eat, we have to procreate, we have to do whatever it is that you do in the world, there is a way to connect Hashem to all of it. By thinking about Hashem, by being grateful to Hashem, by praying to Hashem, and so on and so forth. But if a person is only thinking about God only when they need stuff, and all of their time is spent giving everything else, their attention, their money, their heart, then this is a very, very tragic situation, and certainly a form of idolatry. Does the world to come already exist to an extent? Well, there's different parts you have to understand. There is a heaven there's two heavens and there's two Gaonoms that already exist. That's where the righteous people that already passed on, some of them are in the heaven that's the lower heaven. Some of them that are more righteous are in the higher heaven. Gaonom, there's the lower Gaonom, there's the higher Gaonom. Wicked, different level of wickedness. Now, as far as the heaven part, that is a temporary reward for the righteous people. Then there is the world after Mashiach comes, where this world is going to be for another 1,000 years after the Mashiach comes, BeEzrat Hashem soon. There will be a physical world, the same world we live in, but it will be under different circumstances where there's not going to be evil, there's not going to be wars, and there's going to be a much more majestic and holy world. Then there is several other thousands up to the 10th thousand, that in essence the spiritual and the physical combine. But then there is Olam Haba. That Olam Haba that comes after all of that, after the 10th thousandth year, no one's there. No one's there right now. And anyone that goes there, which is only the righteous people, is only at the end. So whoever's righteous and passed on and does not have to come back to this world is now either in the lower heaven or higher heaven. After Mashiach comes, there's going to be resurrection of the dead. The righteous people will come back to this world and live in this world for that time until the 10th thousandth year. Again, each thousand is a different, it's almost like a different world, but it's the same world. But the point is that it's different transitions of the world. So that's another level of reward. And then after that is the Olam Haba, and that Olam Haba, nobody's there now. Nobody's there now. How is it that you're a rabbi and you make lives on TikTok? What's the problem with doing a live on TikTok if my whole goal is to help people just like yourself listen to the words of the Torah, get inspired by it, apply it to your life, become a better person, become a better servant of Hashem, observe Shabbat, become moral, stay away from immorality, do business in an honest way. In so many words, whether you're watching this on TikTok or you're watching this on YouTube or you're watching it on Facebook, all of which are right now live, or you're watching it anywhere else that this is going to be later on, that's our goal. Our goal is to get to people everywhere and anywhere we possibly can. And especially in a place like this, in social media, where now a person that's watching me and is learning Torah, they're doing that instead of watching nonsense. Meaning they were already on the app. They were already on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook or whatever it is that they're watching me on. But if they weren't watching me, they were watching something else. And usually that something else is not a good thing. So certainly our goal is to spread the Torah, spread the truth in every single possible way that we can and everywhere that we can. And Baruch Hashem, we've had a lot of success in helping people get closer to Hashem, do complete tshuva, in different ways, whether it's through TikTok or YouTube or Facebook, on our Roku television channels that we have, on WhatsApp and about TikTok, X, whatever, all these different social medias, Baruch Hashem. We have people that have watched us from all over the world. And as I've told people many times, we have people watching our lectures in 6 out of the 7 continents. That I know for sure. How do I know for sure that there's 6 out of the 7 continents? Because we have people that donate from there, from each one of these continents. The only one we don't have is Antarctica, which maybe one day will come when they figure out a way of how to deal with the weather over there. It's not nice weather over there so much. But Until then, we have people from all over the world. We have people from the United States, from Africa, from South America, from Canada, from Indonesia, Australia, Baruch Hashem, literally from all over the world. People that are watching our lectures, and especially now that we have our lectures translated to 15 different languages. So we have people listening to my lectures in French, in German, in Spanish, in Portuguese, Chinese, Korean, Baruch Hashem, in many different languages. So it's not just people that are listening to the live that get affected by it, but also people that are listening to it when it's translated to all these different languages all over the world. So our goal is to share the truth of the Torah in every possible way, in every possible place, because this is what's going to help people. This is what's going to help people. And Baruch Hashem, we've seen it, and BeEzrat Hashem will continue. Another thing to say about that, by the way, here's a person from Gambia is watching us right now. And a person from Israel is watching us right now. Baruch Hashem. Another thing to say that is that our sages teach us that everything that Hashem created in the world, He created it for us to use it in order to honor Him. Which means that Hashem allowed people to bring the internet and social media and technology into the world, not just for them to make money, not just for them to share nonsensical videos of ducks crossing the road or of people eating in strange ways or beating each other up. The reason why Hashem allowed all of this to come to the world is because this is going to be a way for His servants to share the truth of His Torah and to fight against the lies of idolatry, of heresy, and to warn people to stay away from the bad and to help them get to the good by showing them what the good are. And the point of all of this technology is to sanctify Hashem's name. That's the whole point. So yes, in order for this to exist, people have to make money. And yes, people have to have the ability to make, videos that are even against God and do all types of bad things. With everything you could do bad and you could do good with. If you choose to do good, you'll be blessed. You choose to do bad, you'll be punished. Are you Orthodox, Rabbi, or modern? Orthodox. How do Jewish people purify themselves to prepare for heaven? By following the laws of the Torah and doing tshuva. Rabbi Nava gave a lecture and gave several points of why American Jews should leave U.S. and go to Israel if they're able to, of course. Okay, Rabbi Nava, kol hakavod to all the good he does and did. He's not the Gadol Ador, and we don't take a commends just because it's a good idea. Everybody has to listen to the words of the sages. The Gedolei Ador have told us time and time again. If somebody wants to make Aliyah, Rav Sternbach wrote a letter about this less than 5 years ago. Somebody wants to make Aliyah. They can make Aliyah so long as they can answer in a positive way to the three questions. Question number one, are they going to be able to stay as religious or become more religious by going to Israel? Them and their kids. Are they going to be able to? If their rabbi, their yeshiva, their community is better where they're living right now, outside of Israel, and if they move to Israel, they'll only live in a place where they're going to become less religious, then they're not allowed to make Aliyah. It's a sin for them to make Aliyah. That's number one. Number two, do they have a way to make a living in Israel, or are they going to be in the poorhouse? Now, yeah, you could say, oh, have emunah, have emunah. Sure, have emunah, but you also have to understand that you have to have a plan too. You have to have a plan also. If you have a specific business here, and that business does not travel with you, and it's not a sellable business, which means that you live month to month from this business, and you are simply relying on the fact that the moment you land in Israel, you're going to find a replacement for all of your income on day one, and you don't have any other way to make ends meet. That's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. You have to have some way to make a living. If you don't have a way to make a living, living in Israel, but you do have a way to make a living where you are, then certainly moving to Israel is not a good idea for you. And the third thing is shlom bayit. If you want to move to Israel, but the rest of your family does not want to move to Israel, especially your spouse does not want to move to Israel, to such a point where they say that if you move to Israel, we're getting a divorce. Guess what? You're forbidden from moving to Israel. You're not allowed to get a divorce just for the sake of moving to Israel. So to say, oh, people should go to Israel if they, it's great, it's nice, but you have to understand that there are Gdolei Israel that give us guidance that takes Da'at Torah into effect. What is Da'at Torah? Da'at Torah considers all of the halachic implications that have to do with life, beyond getting on an airplane, beyond being idealistic and living next to the graves of the tzaddikim and going to an ancient synagogue. Gdolei Israel teach us how to live as a Jew. You do not have an obligation to live in Israel right now. Israel is not considered right now to be a place we're obligated to live in. Mashiach has not come. In fact, if you look at the Torah sages throughout history, many of them lived outside of Israel, whether it's the Ramban for most of his life, Rashi, the Baalei Tosfot, the Talmud Bavli, all of the sages, they wrote Talmud Bavli. Many of Gdolei Israel lived outside of Israel, and even the Torah sages of the last 100 years traveled and lived outside of Israel for several years, and sometimes on a permanent basis. Whether you have Rav Yosef leaving Israel for several years to live in Egypt, Rav Tzion that moved to Panama and lived there for the rest of his life. The point is that to just say, oh, live in Israel if you can, if that's all anybody said, I'm not saying, I don't know what Rabbi Nova says, I'm just reading what you wrote. Anybody says, oh, move to Israel, if that's all they said, that's an irresponsible statement. Why? Because you have to take everything into consideration. And to make people just be idealistic and say, oh, if you move to Israel, everything will be great. It's not true. It's simply not true. Anyone that's not aware of what's happening in Israel has to understand that for many people, it's much more difficult to live a religious life in Israel than it is anywhere else in the world. Because right now, the government of Israel has declared war against the religion, against Judaism. So if you are a 40, 50-year-old man with no young kids, you want to go move to Israel, go move to Israel, go tomorrow, go right now, stop the shiur, go fight right now. If you could afford it, you could go there, go. But you're not the average person. The average person is somebody that's married to another somebody, that has a few somebody kids, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 kids, whatever they have, and some of them are teenagers. Well, guess what? As soon as they go to Israel, those teenagers are on the army's target. There are teenagers, you're going to go to the army. No, we're religious, we don't want to go to the army. Okay, so you're going to go to jail instead. What are you going to tell that somebody? Move to Israel so your kids can go to the army and defend all the Zionists over there that are fighting against the Torah? What do you tell them? Move to Israel because what? What's going to happen if you're going to move to Israel? What, you're going to defend his kids from the terrorists that are trying to kill him every 2 seconds, whether spiritually or physically? You're going to take the responsibility on your shoulders? That his little 15-year-old kid that grew up with pretty much the scariest thing that he saw in his life is traffic. And now he's going to go to Israel. Second year he's there, he's going to the army. You're going to protect him? You're going to fight for him? You're going to tell the father that he has to go to war? Now you're going to say, no, I went to the army. I would go to the army. So you go. You can't decide for other people. Not everybody wants to go to the army. Not everybody should go to the army. And guess what? Right now, that's no longer a free choice, because I have bachurim in Israel that the Israeli government treated them like outright criminals. Showed up at their house at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, smashing down the door, taking the kid, the teenager, 18-year-old kid, out of the bed and put him in jail. Why? Because he didn't go to the army. And he went to yeshiva instead. So who's going to take him out of jail? You or the other idealistic people? Who's going to take him out of jail? I don't like idealistic people because they're stupid. You have to take real life into consideration. Real life into consideration. Living in America is not easy at all, and it's not for everyone. Living in Israel is not easy and is not for everyone. Everyone has to evaluate their own circumstances and speak to their Rav and decide accordingly. There is no one size fits all. For some people, moving to Morocco is the best thing they can do. The Moroccan Jewish community. For other people, the best thing they can do is move to the community in Lakewood, in America. For other people, the best thing to do is to move to Tzfat, or to move to Bet Shemesh, or to move to somewhere in Jerusalem. Everyone has to evaluate their circumstances. There is no one size fits all. And this idealistic talks, the war is coming, and if you want to be saved, go to Israel. Habibi, the war is going to be in Israel. The land will not protect anyone. It doesn't matter where you are. The only thing that will protect anybody is how they served Hashem before the war started. That's the only thing that will protect you. If you're a wicked person, you could be sitting on top of the Kotel HaMa'aravi and still get destroyed. And if you're righteous, you could be literally right next to the atomic bomb and Hashem will save you. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. Not the land, not the government, not the weapons. So you have to understand, we cannot be idealistic to the point of stupidity. We have to be conscious of reality and apply the Torah to reality and not live in fairy tale dreams. Because to make idealistic statements breaks up marriages, makes life hell for people. I know, because I deal with those people, that they listen to all types of idealistic things and they abandon everything. Habibi, last year you were Mechalel Shabbat. This year you're living in Tzfat. This year you're living next to the Kotel. You think that you're Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai? You left your wife and kids back in the cave and you're here. You think you're doing a mitzvah? You're not doing a mitzvah. You're not doing a mitzvah. I had somebody come to me just a few days ago. Told me, listen, Rabbi, I'm thinking about going to learn in Kollel full time. Now this sounds like every rabbi's dream, right? A person that did tshuva just a few years ago wants to go learn in Kollel full time. If you were the rabbi, you would say, yeah, this guy's a tzaddik. Well, guess what? You would be wrong. Why? Because I told them, don't go to kollel. Because it will ruin your life. Not because Torah will ruin your life. Your decision will ruin your life. Because you are not alone. You're a married man. And your wife is not on board with you going to kollel. And the fact that she's not on board will become even worse after you go to kollel and you don't make an income anymore. And you don't have a way to feed the kids anymore. And on top of it, you're moving to a different place. And guess what? You're going to end up in a divorce. Hashem does not give you the Torah so you can get a divorce. You can work and you can study all at the same time. You don't have to go to a kollel to study. You could study at home after work. You could study at home before work. Being at kollel is not the only way for you to study Torah. And a person has to take every single situation into consideration. There are some students of mine that I tell them, the best thing for you is to go to yeshiva, to go to kollel, park there for the next 5, 10, 20, 50 years. For some people, I tell them, absolutely not. Why? It will ruin your life. Why is one this, one the other? Because you take into consideration their personal situation. And not act idealistic and give a one-size-fits-all advice. Judaism is not one-size-fits-all. The Torah is not one-size-fits-all. We have to know how to apply the laws. That's why the Torah says, Hashem gave us the Torah to live by it and not to die by it. So, I understand people think that if they move to Israel and they go to Tzfat, or they go to Jerusalem, or they go to wherever Tveria, wherever their dream is to be, everything is going to be great. Guess what? It may not be. Because the Gemara itself says, 3 things are acquired through suffering. 3 things. 1, Olam Haba. You're not going to get to Olam Haba without suffering. 2, Israel. Living in Israel. Everyone has to understand, living in Israel is not simple. Living in Israel is not simple. You may be used to getting Amazon boxes to your house every day, every other day, get your groceries delivered. You're used to, people saying, thank you for coming, sir. The customer's always right. Guess what? You show up to Israel, first thing you're going to get, customer's all right, you're going to get a kaffa to the face. What customer always right? Imashcha right. What are you talking about? No customer. I'm right. I'm the boss. There's no customer service in Israel. And you, a little American or a little Englishman, little Australian, show up to Israel with your customer always right mentality. You're going to get a kaffa to the face. That's what you're going to get. And guess what? Your little American kids are going to have an adjustment. So, again, I love Israel. I was born there. I wish I can live there. And I'm only here because my rabbi tells me I have to be here. The second he tells me I don't have to be, I'm out. I'm going to Israel too. But that doesn't mean I'm going to tell everybody to go too. Why? Every case has to be treated with responsibility. Cannot be idealistic. Why? Because the Torah is Torah Chaim, it's Torah for life. It's Torah for life. I know some people that made idealistic moves. They left everything in a short period of time. I'm making Aliyah. They thought they were like back in, leaving Egypt. And guess what? Some of them ended up getting divorced. Some of them ended up losing all their money and coming back to the country they came from. Some of them live there and they're miserable, but they can't afford to leave. And some are very, very happy that they did. And they tell me, listen, you should come and we love you. We'd love to have you here. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Some people succeed and have a lot of blessing as a result of their move. Some people do not. You cannot give general advice. Everybody has to go. It's not true. Some people, especially those that have young kids that are teenagers, The last thing you should do is move to Israel right now. Why? I don't know. Why would you want your kids to go to the army? For what? They don't need more soldiers. And you don't need more dead bodies. What are you going to do? Tell your kids go to the army so they can go to the army and then beat you up because you're religious? Because that's what a lot of the soldiers are doing now, and the police officers. They're commanded to beat up the religious people. To go take a religious woman and beat her up in the middle of the street and take off her kisui losh. That's what they did a week ago. A woman that was old enough to be his mother. They beat her up. That's what you want, your kid to go to the army so they can beat you up? The government is training these young 18-year-old kids to be criminals. If they didn't already become criminals, they become criminals after they join the army. And don't get me wrong, I love soldiers. I have many soldiers that have listened to my shulim, that have helped, that have donated, that have helped, and I continue to help. But right now, what's happening? The government is at war. The government of Israel is at war against the Torah. They are literally influencing and forcing these kids to beat up their brothers and sisters. But when it comes to the enemy, the terrorists, they're not allowed to kill them. They're not allowed to kill them. If they kill one of the terrorists, they go to jail. Soldiers, Israeli soldiers, sitting in jail because they killed an Arab terrorist that already killed somebody. No, Netanyahu is not a good Jew. He's a kofer apikos. What are you talking about, good Jew? What's good about him? That he's a mechalel Shabbat? That he allowed dozens of planes full of Christian missionaries to enter Israel during COVID-19 when Jews were not even allowed to leave their house, but he allowed the idolaters, the missionaries to come to Israel? What's good about him? That he sold out the entire country as an experiment for these drugs during the COVID-19? What's good about him? Now don't get me wrong, the next guy that wants to replace him is worse than him. But to call him a good Jew, what's good about what Jew? What's Jewish about him? He's a mechalel Shabbat. He doesn't keep Torah and Mitzvot. He's a compulsive liar, like all politicians. People have to understand, we have only one truth. That's the Torah. That's the Torah. Everything else is a lie. But the Torah does not tell us to live with blind faith and be idealistic. It doesn't tell us that. It doesn't tell us that. Torah tells us you use the Torah to live by it. Which means if you're going to have a better, easier way to serve Hashem, to raise your kids to be religious Jews, to learn Torah in the exile, then stay in the exile. Whether that's in America or it's in Iran, for all I care. Doesn't make a difference. If you're going to be a religious Jew and your kids are going to be religious Jews and you're not worried about your life, you're not worried about somebody killing you every day, you're worried simply about serving Hashem, and you're doing that perfectly well wherever you are, then stay where you are. There's no obligation for you to move. Now, once Mashiach comes, all of the things that are a problem are not going to be a problem anymore. He's going to, fight all the enemies of the Torah. He's going to fight all the wicked things. But until then, we're living in the exile. We're living in the exile. Even if you live in Israel, it's still considered the exile. Why? Because Israel is not controlled by the Torah right now. Israel is controlled by people that are against the Torah. The politicians that are running Israel are against the Torah. Many of them are communists, heretics, atheists, lefty, liberal. They hate the Torah, even if some of them wear a kippah. So we have to stop deluding ourselves to thinking that, everybody should move. Who has big enough shoulders to say such a thing? Rav Yosef didn't say such things. And you're telling me somebody is giving blanket advice like this? No. I highly doubt that Rabbi Nava said everybody should go. He said, probably said something similar to what I'm saying, or maybe added more color to a single statement. But Again, regardless of who said it, I don't care if the real Torah tells us what I just said. How do I know? That's what Gdolei Yisrael taught us. That's what Gdolei Yisrael taught us, and that's what we know. That's the truth. There's no other opinions. Other opinions are wrong. Simple. In Torah it says to afflict yourself. What does this command mean? This is usually referring to fasting. Afflicting yourself during Yom Kippur. When something stops me from doing something, how can I tell if it's Satan's trying to block me or if it's Hashem guiding me? And does it have anything to do with having Ayin Tov? Well, it depends what you're trying to do. If you're trying to learn more Torah, you're trying to give more tzedakah, you're trying to publicize Torah, and something is getting in the way, then certainly that's the Satan. Why? Because you're about to publicize Hashem's name, you're about to learn more about Hashem, get closer to Hashem. So certainly, the greater the reward for what you want to do, the more resistance there's going to be in order for you to achieve it. On the other hand, if a person is about to go make a sin, they want to go to a pub, but all of a sudden they have a flat tire, that's not the Satan. He's not trying to stop you from going to the pub. He's not trying to stop you from going to make sins. That's Hashem trying to help you before you lose your Olam Haba. So he tries to guide you, tries to stop you, tries to steer you. So it all depends on what the intention is. What's the destination? And as far as Ayin Tov and Ayin Hara, again, it's more about the bigger thing is about what is your destination? What's the objective of where you're going? Can you tell us about Ein Sof, infinity without end? The only thing that we know is that we don't know. There is no possible way for a human being to understand Ein Sof. There's no possible way for a human being to understand timelessness, spacelessness. If you look at the writings of the Rav Sadia Gaon from about 1100 years ago, he goes into the explanations of why anyone that believes in anything physical, or that God has a body, or that he's subject to time, or the man God that they have in Christianity, all these other things, simply does not understand how far they are from the truth, because God does not have a body, and the definition of God and what he is, being the creator, he cannot have a body, he cannot have parts. En lo guf ve'en lo mudaguf, meaning it's not only because it says it in the Torah, it's because by definition, the creator cannot be part of the creation. And all of the things that I mentioned are part of the creation. Time is a creation, space is a creation, physicality is a creation. The creator does not become part of the creation. Furthermore, a person that wants to give God an image because they misunderstood what it says in the Torah. Let's say in last week's parasha, where it talks about how the Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron and the elders are seeing God, and on the bottom of his feet there's a stone. Now, this is a prophetic vision that they're seeing. They're not actually seeing God. This is the Shekhinah sitting, being on something. It's not God. God is giving the prophets different types of things to see in order to transpire a message to them. God does not have an image of any kind. Nothing. There is no image. There is nothing physical about him. There's nothing, no shape, no size. So when a person starts putting a picture for God, or puts him at a specific place or a specific time, then what they're doing is that they are making God tangible, physical, and thereby limited, which is the opposite of God. The reason why he's none of those is because all of those things are his creation, and he does not become part of his creation. He is not part of time. He existed before he created time. This is also the reason why it's impossible to say that God needs anything, because he created everything, and since he was before the creation, why did he wait to create something in order to need it? So he doesn't need anything. Furthermore, since he's not subject to time, the past, the present, and the future are all the same to him. To us, says Rav Gaon, we only understand something once we acquire a certain knowledge about it. Once we see something, hear something, learn about something. Once we encounter something. And therefore, our knowledge and us are two separate things. Hashem is not two separate things. When we say Hashem Echad, Hashem is one, that means him, his thoughts, his creation, everything is one. He's not pieces. When we want to create something, we need stuff to create it. We need stuff to build it. Hashem simply thinks of something and it comes to being. He doesn't need stuff. He didn't take all types of chemicals and pieces and put them together and mesh them together to create the world. He simply thought to exist, and therefore it came to existence. The sun, the moon, the earth, the universe, you, me, everything else. So all of this is concepts that are beyond human comprehension, because a human being cannot comprehend timelessness. You cannot think of anything without time, because you are physical. And time depends on physicality. There is no such concept as time without physicality. In order for it to be subject to time, it has to be physical. It has to be material of some kind. Even if it's limited material, like fire, it's still subject to time. There's still some element of physicality, of material in fire, even though it's really the highest level of spirituality. The highest thing we can get close to spirituality, but still being physical, is fire. But the point being is that Hashem is not subject to time. He's not subject to space. And we cannot think of something that does not occupy space or time, because everything we think of is either from the past or the present, because that's what we've encountered. That's what we've encountered. Anything that we can think of, we have a picture of it in our mind, what it looks like or what we think it should look like. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu, there's nothing like him. He's not one in comparison to two, but like the Chovot LaEvyonim says, a united, the fact that Hashem is one means that he's one and there is nothing else to compare him to. There is nothing else to compare him to. So when people start breaking up Hashem into pieces, where they say, oh, there's this part of the Malchut, this part of the Keter, this part, the Kabbalistic terms, really they're not doing it appropriately if they're not explaining that these are not different parts of God. God does not have parts, but these are different ways that HaKadosh Baruch Hu unveils himself. It's like Hashem shows the prophets different visions. He shows Moshe Rabbeinu certain visions. He shows Avraham Avinu certain visions. He shows everybody certain visions. And the only one that was able to hear a message from Hashem without somebody in the middle was Moshe Rabbeinu. But when Hashem spoke to Moshe, it's not the same thing like you and I are speaking to each other, or you're speaking to your wife or your husband, because you know that you have a voice, you have vocal cords that create sound. Hashem doesn't have anything physical, which means that when Hashem communicated to Moshe Rabbeinu, he created a sound in order for Moshe Rabbeinu, that was still subject to physicality, to be able to comprehend the prophecy he was telling him. Hashem doesn't have a voice, doesn't have a sound, he doesn't speak like you and me. to all of the things that we see in the Torah that are, an arm, a mouth, an ear, the eye of God, all of these anthropomorphic terminologies are not because God has anything physical, but rather these are different ways that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to help us understand based on our limited ability to comprehend things that are beyond the physical. When we understand message, that there was a communication, we understand message that is subject to physicality. A message that's communicated either through sound or through vision, through light, through something that we can put something tangible on. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the prophecies to different prophets in different ways that he created specifically for them. But when you see, for example, the word God that's speaking to somebody, most of the time you will see Malach Hashem, the angel of God. The Rav Gaon explains that means that it's not Hashem, but rather it's an angel that Hashem sent to represent him, to speak to Avraham Avinu, to speak to Yaakov, to speak to Yitzchak, to speak to somebody else. The only time it doesn't say Malach Hashem is when Hashem is speaking to Moshe Rabbeinu. There are times that it says it, and there are times that it doesn't say it. Why? Because Hashem spoke to him in a higher level of prophecy without something in the middle. But again, even during that communication between Hashem and Moshe Rabbeinu, it's Hashem had to create a creation in order to communicate in a way that Moshe Rabbeinu would be able to understand. And that would be a voice, that would be a vision, that would be a certain light, special light that is different for every prophet, and so on and so forth. Is there any zgula for parnasah or something we can do on Purim? One thing that a person can do is give a lot of tzedakah to help publicize Torah. To publicize Torah, even if it's without tzedakah, publicizing books, shurim, and so on. Kiruv is the number one way that a person can bring blessing on their life. When it comes to parnasah, when it comes to pretty much everything. That's one way. Another thing is a person can, take on themselves more Torah. So if, let's say, they learn Torah half hour a day or an hour a day, commit to learning more. An hour a day, 2 hours a day, whatever you're doing, do more. That's another thing, that because the more blessings you bring on yourself, the more merit you bring on yourself, the more ends up coming. That's another thing that a person can do. When it comes to Purim, those are two things that certainly everybody can do. As far as general zgula for parnasah, giving chomesh is the sages teach us, somebody that gives chomesh, the Milvila says it, someone that gives chomesh is assured that they'll become wealthy during their life. He doesn't give the time. It doesn't happen necessarily within a week, a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years, but Hashem promises that a person that gives chomesh will become wealthy. A person that gives maaser will have their money protected, meaning that they won't lose their money. That's how the Gaon explains it. So if a person gives chomesh to the right place, they could get a lot of blessings from it. That's another thing they can do. Shlom bayit is one of the things that can either bring blessings to a life or problems. If you have shlom bayit, it helps parnasah. If you don't have shlom bayit, you'll have problems with parnasah. Also, kedusha, protecting your brit, protecting your eyes. Person that watches pornography or immodesty, things like that, they're ruining their bracha. They're ruining their bracha. A person that protects their eyes is bringing bracha. Also, gambling. Anyone that gambles or does unethical business is ruining their bracha. Anyone that does not is protecting their bracha. So there's a lot of different things that could either destroy the bracha or add, or at least protect it. But again, these are things, most of them you can do all year, not just necessarily on Purim. Would you make a series on Kuzari? It's not the shame, one day, maybe. It's a fantastic Sefer and teaching. Did you watch Amazon series House of David? No. I never heard of it. Let me see. Let's try to see if I can take some questions. Okay. Is there an angel named Hashem? Yes. Yes. Okay, Rabotai. Baruch Hashem. It's good to be back, good to learn, good to prepare and get closer to another way to serve Hashem. Not just Shabbat that's coming, BeEzrat Hashem, but also Purim. Make sure that you fulfill the Mitzvot before Purim, Matanot LaEvyonim, and the Machatzit HaShekel. Further, make sure that during Purim, everybody acts appropriately and does not make Chilul Hashem. But BeEzrat Hashem will have a shiur before Purim on Sunday night, so we'll get another opportunity to remind you guys. Thank you very much for learning with us. Anyone that wants to support can go on our website, BeEzratHashem.org. For those of you that want to support and you want to use different currencies aside from the dollar, or simply a different website, we have bhtorah.org. A lot of people have an easier time donating there, especially if they want to donate shekels or different currencies from Brazil, from different parts of the world. But the key, Rabotai, is to learn more Torah, apply it to your life, publicize it, get more people to do the same thing, and BeEzrat Hashem, we will all succeed. Call to B'cha B'Atzlacha, and BeEzrat Hashem, we'll learn again next week. Shalom V'cha, Rabotai. We're finally here. The new Kiruv box. Opens up. Got a nice little cushion here. We got see if it's charged. Isn't that amazing? Now available at BeEzratHashem.org. BeEzratHashem.org. Get yourself 20 of them, 30 of them, 50 of them. Distribute them to all the people that you care about. And you get people to do tshuva.